Let's paint something cozy in Procreate. Today we'll be painting our pumpkin from the last video in watercolor. That's perfect for fall. I'll take you step by step through the whole process so you can practice gentle brush strokes, layering color, and blending to get that pretty watercolor effect on your iPad. We'll be working on my living watercolor canvas, and I've left a link to it as well as the color palette in the description so you can follow along with the same colors I'm using. And if you're ready, let's draw together. So this is part 2 of a 2-part series where last time we drew this lovely little pumpkin. So if you do need to go back and find that video, it'll be in the description as well, just so you have your drawing ready. And today's going to be a little bit different in that I'm going to be using my living watercolor brushes. I'll link them below as well. They're my absolute favorite brushes, so I kind of wanted to use them, and I've had a few requests to show a little bit more about how to use these brushes, so I thought I would do that today. And if you don't have these brushes, you can go ahead and just go to Procreate's watercolor library and find something similar. So I'm just going to select my living watercolor brushes. It's just a nice collection of some stamps, some splatters, and of course all the essential brushes. So first off, I'm going to start with my Build and Blend Smooth Edge. It's one of my favorites. I'll show you what it does actually. I'm going to create a new layer and get a different color. It is like this. You push and you have paint. You lighten up on the pressure. It's like you're adding more water, and you can blend it out just all using this one brush. You tap on it, you get more paint. You can blend it around. You can ease up on the pressure to blend it out. It's just a really nice blending brush. Anyway, that's how that works. So we'll use that today. So I'm going to go and just get this peachy pinky color. And let's see how big my brush is. I'm going to have it at about size 38. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just get rid of my original sketch layer. And I'm going to just duplicate this line layer just because I want to save a copy. So I'm just going to lock the lower one and turn it off just so I preserve it. I just don't want to lose it because I'm actually going to be painting. I'm going to start painting on this layer. It's kind of like we would be painting over top of a pencil sketch if we were doing it the traditional way. So with our peachy pink selected, I'm going to use the Build and Blend Smooth Edge brush. I'm just going to pop down a bit of a layer here. So you'll see it, how it kind of just makes it look like those harsh lines are just going away. And they're just getting a little bit watery because they're being blended with this. So it's kind of an interesting effect. So I'm just being really light. And so you can see I have a few little white spots even. And if you go over again, obviously you're going to have some more paint. So and just light pressure here. Dab, dab, dab to create more paint, more color. You can just have make these lines to create the look of these folds here. And then on this side, I'm going to have it a little bit darker. So just tap for more paint and blend. That's starting to come together. Okay, let's do the same thing on this side. Just gonna kind of go over once, just while I'm holding down my pen the entire time. Actually, I'm gonna have to do it this way, just so you can see. Just kind of give it a once over. Not fully coloring it all in perfectly, but just having a few white gaps here and there. Darker on the edges, just to make that look more rounded. It doesn't all have to be blended. You can have some of these areas where you can see a brush stroke, so to speak. So, and I'll show you later too that you can use your, I mean, this is such a nice blending brush, but you can also use your smudge tool to blend stuff too if you need to go back and work on that, just in case it hasn't smudged out enough for you. Okay, so now that I have that, I'm just gonna go and pick maybe this color. I think it's gonna be too dark, so I'm gonna go up and to the left. And let's just kind of bring in another, sort of layer some colors here. Just so they blend together in some areas, creating a new color and just having some of that texture. Looks pretty. Okay, back to, let's go here. And actually, I think I want it more like this color. Let's see. Just try to really emphasize these. Not sure that's going to be too dark. My brush is down to about 14. Kind of wonder if it's not exactly what I was looking for, but let's see. That's actually kind of nice when it blends out. I'm just trying to create these folds. It's a little bit too bright color here, so I'm just going to go to maybe this beigey color. Let's just see if I can neutralize it a little bit. Maybe a little bit more on the brown side, so just pull it over so it's a little bit more neutral there. Just don't want it to be quite so boingy and really stick out too much. And then go back to this color, the actual color. Start to just have this depth here. Maybe that is the only color we need actually. Okay, so let's keep going. I'm gonna go back to this peachy pink and we'll just do this. You can add a few lines like this. It makes it look like the fabric texture. Go to this color here. Something like that. And maybe this color here, just to, I like this one. Actually, this looks good for the shadows. Let me add some of this. So yeah, I have some of the lines in here. Let's just get that. I just really want that depth there. I might actually use a little bit of brown. I think that might help. Let's see. Just try this brown, just to get that little pop. I'm probably gonna have to blend it out, so that's probably a good time to show you how to just use the smudge tool very simply. Just a little bit, don't need much. Just a few little dots. Okay, Okay, so go to the smudge tool. The smudge tool, you can use any brush you want. So I'm just going to go to Living Watercolor and use the same brush I'm using to build and blend. This will just let me absolutely have full control over my blending without adding any more paint. So I'm just going to make sure my opacity is all the way up and just bring in a smaller brush here just because I want just the edges. Just that. That's better. See how it sits more, like a little bit more down. So it just recedes. Back to your brushes. I'm still on the brown, so just a little bit here. And that is working nicely. Okay, back to the smudger. I'm just gonna just lightly smudge that out. Okay, let's do this bottom part here. So back to the peachy pink, still on our build and blend. And let's just color this all in. And do both sides. In some areas I kind of want a little bit of that, the pencil kind of to show through here and there. Okay, and then let's go to this color and make sure we, this will have a shadow, of course, here. So make that darker. Adding more paint along the edge. Okay, and this side. I'm just tapping to make more paint come on. Okay, and then maybe this color. Just add a few bits, little lines, just so it looks like it's painted, not just all solid fill, So don't be afraid to add this and then blend a little bit. That makes it look kind of neat. Okay, back to the peachy pink, and let's just finish up this ribbon. I'm just going to color over these guys. Still with this. Maybe leaving a little bit of light area there. Back to this color, and let's just create some shadow under here. Okay, and then on this side as well. Let's make sure it's nice and dark in there. I might bring out the brown again just to make sure that shadow is really nice and defined. Okay, and to the brown, just a little bit in here. because I want to make sure that you see the separation. I'm just going to move my brush down just a smidge to about 8. So I want to, yeah, you just see, you know, it's not blending together. Then use your smudge tool just to soften that one edge. Anywhere you just might need to just sharpen things up. See, just those little bits just makes a difference, makes it so you can really see where that's defined, that defined edge. But you don't need to go and outline the whole thing, just a few pops. All right, I think that's good for the bow right now. I hope you're having fun enjoying this tutorial so far. If you'd like to take your drawing and painting skills in Procreate to the next level and do it in a way that feels relaxing and joyful, then check out my courses over at prettylittlelines.com. You'll find lots of different styles, step-by-step lessons, and in-depth teaching that I'm sure will spark your creativity and inspire you. There's something for everyone, especially beginners, and I think you'll really enjoy what's waiting there. I'll leave a link for you in the description below so you can check it out. But for now, let's jump back into the lesson and keep creating together. But while we're on the brown, I think I'm going to use that color and go up and to the left just to have a lighter brown. And let's just do this stalk here. Just put a few little dots in there and then come to maybe this color. Let's just see if that's orangey enough. Yeah, it's orangey enough. Just so I kind of have a few colors going here. Just dabbing them on. Oops, making sure that I don't mess up my bow here. Still want that dark. And having that there as well. Then you can take your smudge tool and just lightly smudge a few things. I still want it to look textured. So, you know, you don't have to do the whole thing. Go back with the brown and just, if you want to define a few bits a little bit more, that's good too. Maybe a little bit more down here, since it would be more in shadow. And down there, just smudge that out a little bit. Okay, just gonna erase a little mistake here. Oops, there we go. Okay, now for the pumpkin, let's just get that down. So I'm going to go and get that peachy pink again. And I'm just gonna move it over just a slightly bit, just so it's a little bit lighter. Still with our same brush. I think we're just gonna, this is sort of our main brush for today. I'm going to carefully try to stay within the lines, all while holding down my brush. And I'm just gonna have like kind of make lines like this. So it's not perfect. Just like that. Then let's get this color here on the edges. And just some lines. You can play with your pressure a little bit. So it starts to come there, and then use your smudge tool and just maybe smudge out, play the size about 20 here. Just not all of the lines because I want a few, but just maybe some. Okay. Then I'm going to go to this yellow. You can see it's not going to be quite the most conventional looking pumpkin, but it will be pretty. Okay, I'm going to just go over this. I might be smudging out those berries a bit too much, but we can bring them back. It's okay. Just careful around the lines there. Some of them I kind of want to keep a sharper edge to. Probably should bring up the size of my brush, but that's okay. I'll do that in a minute. So just lines. This isn't too hard. This part. Okay, I'm just gonna move my brush up back to about 15 or so. And then we'll get this color again, more in the edges, so that corner, or that, you know, the dip, the divide is still defined. A little bit darker at the top. You can totally pick up your brush, don't worry. You can blend it out. A little darker at the bottom. Okay, with the smudge tool, just zoom out just to see if it looks okay. All right, let's move on to the next one. Still with this color, I'm going to remain on this color, and still with our brush, let's just go and fill this in. If you can avoid some of the drawing here, go for it. It's not the end of the world either way, but you could just do that. Okay, and then we can go with a second pass here. Still trying to keep that line, and I can go and paint some more on that too. I just want to make sure that things aren't just bleeding together. Now let's go and get maybe a purple. I don't know if this is going to be, yep, that'll work. The purple for this one. And then go another pass. Maybe you can go and get this pink color, or maybe this color. Let's just see if that's sort of blend some of that together. Yeah, that's nice. All right, maybe this color here. Actually, yeah, that is good. So stick with that color. And we'll just see if there's any blending we need to do in a minute. You use your blender if you need to. Okay, maybe we'll repeat that color here. Okay, I'm actually going to bring the brown in here a little bit. I think that Just a little bit of a line here might be nice. I'm just going to use my smudger, smudge that out. Might just put that in a few areas. Just being gentle and then just, yeah, smudge that out. And smudge it. Okay, we are coming along. This looks good. I'm going to use, I don't know if this is the right color. Yep, that'll work. Okay, so this light green here. And let's see, maybe, well, let's just try this with another pass. And then this orange maybe will be good, or the peachy color. All right. And let's use that on this side as well. Okay, so let's get to our little foliage and our flower here. I want to keep the flower primarily white for the most part. So let's just kind of get some little colors in here. I think maybe this color here, let's start with that. Just have some of this, some of these edges blend. See, I'm just blending that. We're gonna kind of have it multicolored, so not iridescent, but you know what I mean, when it has like, it's primarily white, but there's pink and green and blue and all that kind of stuff. I'm just gonna blend that out because that was a little harsh. Okay, so this green is just blending with our brown, so it's just kind of having this neutral shadow kind of color come about. Sort of a fine line between being super muddy and being nice and neutral. Okay, so that's working fine for me. I'm going to just do this. So you can kind of see that that's in shadow. Okay, let's get some colors in the center here. So maybe this color we'll start with. Just gonna kind of dab. And then this lighter color. Actually, I should have started with the lighter color. Let me do that instead. Sorry about that. Let's just go and get that color. And always start light first. It's hard to go in reverse. And then this, let's do this color. I'm just dotting. And then you can use the brown sparingly, and maybe bring your brush smaller if you need to. I'm kind of doing this on the bottom, lower right a little bit, just to kind of create that shadow, and much more sparingly up the top. Okay, see how that kind of creates that look. All right, let's use the purple. Again, I'm gonna see if this might need to lighten it up just a touch, so just move it up and to the left. Bring our brush back a little bit bigger. So let's just see. I might need to blend this a bit more, but you can sort of see how you can use multiple colors, but it's still a white flower. Maybe underneath here too, I'll start to blend these together, those two colors. Okay, use the blend, your sponger. Maybe just soften some of this if it needs it. And then let's bring in the pink. It's peachy pink. Put some of that in here. This I'm going to blend out a lot more. So let's soften that quite a bit. I don't want it to be too much. Okay, that's probably good. I might just use my blender to go down to 8% or so. I'm just going to soften some of these, like our pencil, our sketch, just so it's not too harsh and it kind of matches what the rest of the painting is like. So just adjust your brush size to whatever you need, just so it's not, yeah, it just needs to be balanced and match the rest of it. But I do want it to stand out for sure, especially because it's the closest thing to us as well. Okay, I feel like if you have too much color on here, you can always take your eraser. You can take your eraser and actually go to one of the paint brushes too. So you can go to the same one and literally use that as a paintbrush. So you can take it out without being too harsh, I can still use, like, it kind of blends it out. Acts like a paintbrush. So, and I can change the opacity, so I'm going a little bit more subtle. So if I've, overdone it a little bit too much, you can just go and change it, which is fantastic. I just want it to pop enough, right? Okay, I'm gonna change my eraser back to what it was before, and it was in the classic library. Just airbrushing. Okay. Now let's start to do our leaves and whatnots. So we can go back to, let's grab this color here and just start filling this in. And we can, just like we've done before, I would just add more paint. Just tap it on and just make sure, yeah, I like that color. It's good. I think it needs to be a little bit brighter. So I did a whole other pass on it here. And bring in some other colors, like maybe this color. Kind of make it a little bit more golden. And then if you want, you can, well, I think you should, take the brown and just kind of reestablish the veins that we kind of lost here. And maybe even do some more. This brush is pretty easy to control with small lines, so I have mine down at about 4. So you can go and just draw the veins with this brush too. You don't have to use like a lining brush or anything. You just, that's all you need. So I can just add these extra details. That looks nice. And I might even just add a little bit more of a shadow here and blend it out just so it's a little darker under there. That looks good. Okay, back to this color. Let's just sort of balance some colors here. Maybe I'll do one the same color. This one that's laying down here. Again, you can just do a bunch of lines like this. Actually, I mean, we're going to push back up to a little bit bigger, maybe about 10%. Like this. And if you just kind of want it to look paint-like, you can just add maybe a yellow. Just splotch it on. It's not even thinking about it too much, you're just adding that. And then go to your blend tool and just smudge out some of it, not all of it, just some of it randomly, and it just looks like it's painted. So that is pretty easy. We can do that with a lot of our leaves here. So I will take that brown again, just maybe make the size a little bit smaller just so it's easier to handle. And put these back and add some more. That's a little bit too much. Okay. Maybe this guy needs a little bit darker there. And I'm going to color this in with the brown. So it's a little bit darker down here. So we kind of want to make sure that you know that the bottom of the pumpkin is there. So you'll want that depth. And we can kind of go and fix this up a little bit. Okay, so let's just change up our colors a little bit. Let's bring in, let's see, I wonder, what about this one? Yeah, something a little pinkier. So I'm just coloring it, or we can do this fun method. It does work. It's kind of going around there. I mean, anybody can do this, right? That's not hard. So let's bring in maybe a pink. Stick with a warm pink just so we have that kind of consistent. And then maybe this purple, throw a bit there. And then go to your smudge tool and just make that all make sense. Somehow just blend it together. Fun. Just trying to make sure, you know, I don't mind white gaps, but they also kind of need to make sense too. I just want to make sure that that looks like it's been painted. And then to the brown with the build and blend. And then I'm just going to color some of this in. Don't have to define anything anywhere, just do that. Don't really love this. There. It's looking a little awkward there. Okay, so let's just use that color again. Which one was it? It was this one. I just wonder if I need to blend this out a little, just a touch more. I think that's okay. All right, then let's just have this color come back, maybe just this one too. And then some pink. Going out of bounds here. There we go. And some purple. All right, blending that. Oops, too small. Just looking to see if that works with the colors. I might need to bring this pop of color a little bit more somewhere else because it's a little bit kind of on its own right now. So maybe a little bit in the bow, that could happen. So I'll just finish this up here and just make sure that our colors are balanced. It looks cohesive. Okay, so I'm going to take this color here, maybe just have a bit of a pop there. See, already that helps a bit. Maybe a little bit more here. Okay, already just a little bit has helped really balance that out. So just keep an eye on that kind of thing. Really helps bring your whole piece together. There, okay. All right, let's keep going. Let's maybe do these berries before we lose them. They're all disappearing here. I think I'm gonna use the purple. And let's just, we're gonna have to draw a little bit of this back in because it's pretty faint. Guess we'll do all our berries this color. Okay, and then we can just kind of, with this, just kind of dab on a bit more paint just on the one lower side. Try to keep within the circle, otherwise it looks a little awkward. Okay, and then you can come with some, maybe this pink. I'm just kind of going on the other side, almost blending them together. Just have a bigger brush, maybe about size 12, if that helps. Having a really light hand. And if you need to, you can use your smudge tool if it's, you know, a little bit too sharp or not looking quite how you want it. And that's good. Okay, to the brown. And let's just make sure this is a little bit sharpened up here. Okay, that's all that need to be done there. Let's bring in some gold, I think. Let's see if this is going to be too much. Nope, that actually looks nice. Okay, so we can just do that. A couple passes at it, a few lines to make it just not all solid. I wonder if we can, you know, if you go over this just to lighten it up. Kind of looks nice. Okay, then let's do the same thing over here. Just go over the curly bits. I'm going to have to use some brown in there to make that stand out again. Okay, grab that brown. Probably good. Okay, where else can we do gold here? Maybe this one in front. Let's see, maybe just soften this a little bit too. Okay, that's looking pretty. Let's see, maybe some green. I'm going to use this color green. Let's try this here. Not sure if that's going to be too dark. No, I think that's fine. And then let's balance it with this side. Not that they have to be the same on either side, but it just kind of works for this one. Okay, and then let's see here. I'm trying to decide whether maybe this one. All right, we have berries here. Maybe they should have like this color. Sure, that works. And we just have this little section, and we are on the home stretch here. So let's just continue on maybe with this color for this one. Let's just see. Yeah, that's probably good. Just do this. Bring in some, maybe the gold. And then smudge it together. Go to the brown. All right, and now we just have to pick a color for this last leaf. Maybe it should be green too. Just blend that. Okay, this should be a little bit darker. I'm going to actually just bring in a little bit of brown here, just so that this is kind of standing out a little bit. Like that. It's going to put a bit more brown at the bottom here, so that looks like that is receding, tucking under. Same with here. Put a bit more there too. Blend it on out. Maybe here as well. I know I had it there before, but it wasn't quite right. That's a bit better. Okay. This part of the pumpkin I seem to have lost. I guess I didn't quite draw it like that, so I'm going to just make sure and go grab this green, and I didn't color this in. So let's do that. Shouldn't have a hole there, and it's actually going to be quite a bit darker, so I'll use this darker green. Trying to mind my little berries here. Hopefully that works. And maybe this color just to finish this here. And I'll bring in the brown just to fix that little bit. Just weird that I didn't notice that before. It's okay, sometimes you get too focused on other things. There, that's better. Just finishes that. All right, what else do I see that we can do? I'm always curious to see what happens when I duplicate my layer. You know, that really bumps it up. I think that's too much though. You could take the opacity and change it if you wanted, but I kind of like it a little bit softer for this one. So let's just go ahead and create a new layer below. If you want, you can just maybe see this color and just take it over this way a little bit, just so it's a bit more neutral. Let's see if this is nice to go and get the wash, well, actually soft bloom maybe. You can just sort of give it a little, I'm gonna have to erase a bit of stuff here. It's gonna give it somewhere to sit. And I'm gonna take my eraser and take this out because this is white. And of course you can go and create a new layer. Go down to your, maybe some of these splatters might look all right. Move the 8 and pick the pink. Maybe you can do just like a little, it's too big, you're gonna have to play around with the size. You just want like a little something like that. Create a new layer just so you can move them around separately. Maybe something soft like this. Try splatter 9. Something like that. And then maybe this one, too big. I can put on a new layer just so that I can move it around if I need to. Something like that. I just add a little bit. Not sure I'm loving this at the bottom. Maybe it's too big. So I'm gonna just take this and delete it, create a new layer and just kind of redo that. Maybe I'll use this color instead. And the soft bloom, maybe just add a little bit here and there, just so I'm not going straight across. Maybe keeping it smaller. So maybe just a little bit here, maybe a little bit closer. Maybe just a bit more subtle. I think that's probably good. All right, let's see what else we can do. If you want your sketch over top, I'm just gonna unlock this. And you can play around with the sketch too to make it look a little bit different if you wanted. You can go ahead and put that sketch layer up to the top. That's a different look too. And you can also play with the blending modes. You could change it to, let's see, like add, for instance, which would make it look like it has a gold outline, or you could also just change the opacity and make it a little bit more subtle. And that's kind of something that's a bit neat too. So you can kind of play around with what you've got since you've made this sketch. And actually, I think that looks kind of neat. It's quite different. So maybe not too much. I have mine at about 25. And you can see that that's kind of fun. All right, so that's it for today. So I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, I'd love a like and a subscribe if you haven't already. It helps me out so much. And go check out these brushes if you haven't already. If you're interested, it is in the link below. And again, thank you for joining me. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.